the best place to hear country hits. This is FRH Radio.
FRH Radio.
The station that puts both independent artists and mainstream artists under the same spotlight.
Playing you only the best in country music. You are listening to FRH Radio.
Hello, and welcome back to the Indie Spotlight Show here on FRH Radio. My name is Kay, and essentially I'm just here to put this show out to you, because if you've been listening, you will know that essentially we hand over the show to our resident interviewer, Graham Drayton. If you've been listening, you will have heard some great interviews. If you haven't been listening, well, you missed out. You missed out, because we've already had some fantastic interviews here on the station. And today is going to be just as great. And I got to warn you now, you need to be prepared to laugh. I laughed a lot just while listening to it myself. Today, we have Steve Markwardt with us, and if you are a fan of Western Swing, you are going to enjoy this interview, and you are going to enjoy the music. You don't need to hear me. You need to hear Graham Drayton, and you need to hear Steve Markwardt. So let's hand over straight away to Graham.
Okay, we're here for FRH Radio for the K Cook Abbott Show with Steve. Now, I don't want to attempt your second name, Steve. You can say it for me.
Markward, like backward, Markward. It's one of those tricky German names.
So you got me with a T on the end.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, T. You can leave the T off when you pronounce it. I guess just say Markward. So.
Okay, this is Steve Markwardt.
Perfect.
Hey. got it.
I told a DJ in Ireland, he goes by Richie D. I said, I'm going to change my name to something like yours.
Something easier.
Yeah.
But you could just say wood, like as a tree or something. But yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
We'll skip on from the name now. You know, mine's Graham. So GRAEME.
I have another really dear friend in the UK named Graham. That's a fairly common name, I guess.
Are we going GRAHM on that one?
No, yeah, GRAHM. Yours is GREAME, right?
GRAEME,
yeah.
Bit of a Scottish way. It's about a Scottish family.
Oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah, I was named after Graham Souness. So.
Okay.
Anyway, so here with Steve, more importantly, talking about you, Steve Markwardt, talking about because you're a singer-songwriter, and you've got some songs that that listeners are going to hear tonight.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So just tell us about you, a little bit how you got into this game of ours, this musicianship.
Well, I'm a late bloomer because I'm what you'd call middle-aged. But I've loved music my whole life and been a student of music, kind of a self-taught student of music, and just one of those that listen to every nuance of songs, music that I'd get into. And I'm a musical expeditionary, so I once I find something I like, I try to go deep into it and find out the influences of that particular artist or that particular genre. But This came about kind of about 4 years ago. My wife, knowing how much I love music, she told me, she said, you should learn how to play the guitar instead of sitting on that computer all day or that iPad. And she says, you could learn how to, because I've sung, done a lot of singing, sang with a big band, did that Sinatra type stuff for a few years. That was fun. Loved that. But I thought, I've always wanted to play a melodic instrument. I can play the drums, bang around on that. But so she went out, took me out, and for my birthday, got me a guitar, and I commenced to try to learn how to play it. And the first few weeks were like pulling teeth. And then after that, some friends of mine kind of told me, hey, don't worry about the scales and all that right now. Just learn the basic open chords. And once I got a feel and wrap my mind around chord structures in a basic way and basic music theory, I was able to start writing music. And it happened very quickly for me. And lo and behold, 4 years later, I've got a book of maybe 100 songs that I've written, and some of them I think are pretty good. I keep adding to that as we speak. So some of those songs, a grouping of those songs, is what I pulled together and thought, well, I want to record some of the better songs. And I started thinking about who I could work with, and a guy that I'd met who was touring with Al Stewart, who's from England. A great guitar player out of California. I'd met him at a show, and I contacted him and said, would you help me? Because I knew he'd done some recording, and would you help me produce some of these songs? And he said, sure. And I was going to fly to California, and this was in March when he came through Texas to visit with me, and I was flying to California in April, and then COVID hit. So we had to kind of change gears and pivot and do all of this stuff virtually. And so Al did a lot of the heavy lifting on the lead guitar work and mandolin and keyboards, and then I got acquainted with a really good fiddle and steel guitar player that laid down the fiddle and steel guitar tracks. And as I realized this was going to be a pure country album, I wrote a few more songs kind of in the midst of all that to fill out the playlist. And lo and behold, we ended up with this album. So
that's pretty cool. But I'm hearing from a lot of musicians that I'm interviewing at the moment is that the lockdown has helped them with the writing.
Yeah.
And it's inspired to write. And a lot of writers, songwriters, like I say, are writing a lot more songs in this particular time.
Absolutely. I could not have concentrated on A, the songwriting, and B, the time it takes to lay down those tracks. Because Dave would send me basic tracks, and then I would come in and do some rhythm guitar and vocals. And I did all the vocals and all the harmonies and everything. So I would get the lead vocals laid down. He would mix those in, send them back to me. Then I'd lay down the harmonies. And I love working with harmonies. So I try to do 2 and 3 part harmonies where I felt it fit. And I think that's one of the things that hopefully makes some of my songs stand out maybe from others, is that I think the harmonies, we really worked hard on that. But yes, you're right. I mean, so there was a silver lining. In fact, I think just about everybody's probably written a song about the pandemic, and I wrote a song called "Silver Lining" about the pandemic. There's a silver lining in this cloud, and even did a little music video. I'll share it with you guys sometime. And I also wrote a funny song about the pandemic, because we have to laugh in the midst of all this.
Absolutely.
And it was a country song called "Iris, I Caught Your Virus."
My dear life.
And it's about a guy that gets stuck in a truck stop in Weatherford, Texas, and quarantined in this truck stop with this lady named Iris. Anyway, I won't go any further.
Oh dear, I think the title gives it away. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's suitable for airplay. But you got to have fun. We have to laugh. We can't take ourselves too seriously. And although this is a very serious pandemic and there's a lot of tragedies, I've lost some friends. You guys probably know some folks that maybe aren't with us anymore, but directly because of this. But all we can do is continue to do our best to move forward and look toward the time when we can get back to some semblance of normalcy,
Yeah, absolutely. What's normal now? What is it? I forget what it's like. Going to a pub, I forget what.
I don't know that we'll ever get back to real normal, but I think we'll always be affected by this. But maybe some of that's good because we might need, maybe we needed better awareness around sanitation and all that kind of thing. I don't know.
It almost feels to me like there's a reset button going on around the world, and we press reset on it, and we're going to go back to what before. Everything's like a cycle. It's all very weird and very, I don't know. That's my personal opinion.
Isn't it interesting though, Graham, that there's armies and there's people, there's terrorists, there's people that have tried to bring America down, tried to bring the world down, the freedom loving world, and yet it took a little microscopic thing to do it.
I know. Isn't that very strange?
Yeah, but luckily for you and I, there are people a lot smarter than us that have figured out vaccines and things like that. So,
yeah, we have the vaccine rolling out over here in the UK. Do you have it over there?
Yes, in fact, just about everybody I know except me have gotten it. I had COVID, actually. My wife and daughter and I came down with it around Christmas time. So we were quarantined, and luckily we didn't have any really bad symptoms, except I had a headache for 3 days that was pretty bad, and nothing would work on it. It finally just went away. But other than that, we came through pretty well on that. So I guess I'm told that we've got the antibody for a little while, but yeah, we're in line to get some vaccines here pretty quickly.
Yeah, funny you should say that about having it around Christmas time, because I was poorly around Christmas time with very mild symptoms. I had a breathing problem where I had to get the ambulance out at one stage, but luckily I was absolutely fine. It cleared up a couple of days later. It just sort of went away on its natural accord. But, I had to be careful because my partner, and she's got asthma, and we've got a 7-month-old baby and a 9-year-old who's got asthma as well. So very difficult. But luckily, we was all right. Touch wood, it's gone away. It went away.
Yeah, well, that's good.
We had a negative test as well, so that was good.
Good. Well, I'm glad. It looks like you guys are right where we are as far as the solution is concerned. So I can't wait. And I know I speak for my fellow musicians, and I'm sure Kay feels the same way. I cannot wait to get back out there and get out there, because since this pandemic has hit, I went from having no recordings and just some music written down to now having some recordings that I'm real proud of, and can't wait to get out there and perform this stuff live, get a band together, and I'd love to get over in your neck of the woods too, over in the UK, and I've had some offers to come over to Ireland as well, and I'd love to get back over there. I love it over there. I used to travel over there a lot in business.
You're welcome anytime over here.
Where are you guys located exactly?
Currently we're in Staffordshire in the UK.
Oh, Staffordshire, yeah. Well, my father used to do a lot of business with a company out of Staffordshire, so I'm familiar with that. That's the Midlands, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
We had an office in Cannock. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's not far away.
Yeah. But anyway, enough of that.
Enough of that reminiscing. But there is a pub down the road, Steve, that I'll get you a gig at. I'll try and get you there when you're over here.
That'd be great. There's nothing I'd love more than to play a pub. I've certainly drank a few pints in pubs over there and had some fish and chips and spotted dick and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, coming up to your first song, you've got Rear View Mirror. Now, as I'm reading that title, I'm just thinking, can you imagine looking at the life before in the rear view mirror and imagine what it would look like from now to then? Because I can't really remember it a year ago. It's like so much has happened, so much has gone down.
Well, yeah, and that song is, it's about, I think, looking back, there's nothing productive about living in the past, and I learned that the hard way. I keep a lot of good memories, and I remember some of the bad ones because it helped shape my character. I say on my liner notes in my CD, these songs were born out of life experiences. What I used to call bad times is really not such a thing. There's just growth opportunities. And I've had plenty of those in relationships, that I probably never should have gotten into in the first place. And that song's kind of about being in a relationship maybe a little bit too long. Because if you'll notice, he says, the chorus goes, "I haven't left yet, but I may as well be gone." I don't know about you, but if you've ever been in a job and you put in your 2-week notice or
Yeah.
if that's you might as well leave that day because your heart's already on to the next job, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's the same as like you're going on holiday and you can't wait for that day to come. So in your mind, you're already going on holiday.
I go on holiday every day, but
Yeah.
maybe it's
Well,
because I'm getting old.
I was actually talking in a work sense, but
Yeah. No, in fact, there's a song that I've recorded that it's not on this album, but I'll be releasing it, and I'll make sure you guys get it. It's called Maui in My Mind, and it's about being caught in a traffic jam in downtown Dallas or downtown Fort Worth, and then the phone was ringing, my office was calling, and I just drifted away, and my mind went to Hawaii. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So here it is. The first song from Steve on FRH Radio is Rear View Mirror.
Okay, so let's hear Rearview Mirror from Steve Markwardt.
I'll see you in my rear view mirror. I haven't left yet, but I may as well be gone. As you get smaller, my tomorrow's getting clearer. I'll see you in my rear view mirror. From the very moment that I met you, you seemed to be what I was looking for. You flashed those big blue eyes, and it was no surprise. You had me from when you walked in the door. Oh, but then I found out the hard way. Our feelings towards each other weren't the same. What you set out to get from me, I gave to you for free. Now I barely have $1 to my name. So I'll see you in my rear view mirror. I haven't left yet, but I may as well be gone. As you get smaller, my tomorrow's getting clearer. I'll see you in my rear view mirror. Well, this shouldn't cause you any disappointment, and I don't think you'll shed too many tears when you're not having fun at all. And time comes to a crawl, and these past few weeks seem like 100 years. In the long, long months we have been together, the joy we shared turned into bitter tears. But no matter what I do, there's no satisfying you. So the best thing I can do is disappear. So I'll see you in my rear view mirror. I haven't left yet, but I may as well be gone. As you get smaller, my tomorrow's getting clearer. I'll see you in my rear view mirror. Yes, I'll see you in my rear view mirror. Haven't left yet, but I may as well be gone. As you get smaller, my tomorrow's getting clearer. I'll see you in my rear view mirror. Yeah, I'll see you in my rear view mirror.
Yeehaw! All-Star Country,
playing the best of country music.
FRH Radio.
Fantastic track. I have to say, I do like that. Let's go straight back to Graham now and carry on with our chat with Steve Markwardt.
Okay, we're back with Steve Markwardt after hearing Rearview Mirror, his first song. So how would you generalize your album, the genre of music that you play?
Well, I think two subgenres. What I call pure country, what we say is real country, because a lot of things that are being played on terrestrial radio coming out of Nashville these days, they're calling it country, but I think it's more pop music with maybe a country accent added to it. And so we're trying to hold true to the traditional classic country, the stuff of the 50s, 60s, that Farron Young and even Hank Williams and those guys did, and try to stay true to that sound and that feel with the steel guitars and the fiddle and, and the shuffles and all those kinds of things. And then the other genre that I've included in, I've got a couple of songs at least that are Western swing style, which has a little bit of a different beat and more holds true to the music of Bob Wills and those guys, so I've found some great musicians and got great musicians that have participated on this project that I think have helped me capture that sound. I'm very pleased with the outcome of the finished product.
That's always good as well. If you're happy and you're enjoying the music, that's all you can be said, isn't it?
Yes, and I think especially for Western swing, I started going to these festivals around Texas, and there's a lot of them. They're Bob Wills Festival in Turkey, Texas. Of all places, if you haven't been, you got to go to Turkey, Texas sometime. It's a small, tiny little town, and once a year for that festival, thousands of people come in and wake that little town up, and it's something else. And you got all this music and fellowship going on. It's really a blast. So my brother, who's a Western swing historian, kind of got me locked into that and took me to a lot of those festivals, and I started really liking, really getting into that music. And I thought, that's great, but how many times can you play Faded Love and San Antonio Rose? I mean, those are great songs, but I think it's time for some new material. So I sat down and tried my hand at writing a couple of songs that I deemed Western swing. One, they put the Western into Western swing, is all about the history of Western swing music as it pertains to Fort Worth, where I live, Fort Worth, Texas, because that's where it all started, right here.
Well, we'll come on to that song a little bit later, because I know you've got that one in there in the bag. Yes. Yes. But so you was talking earlier on about you was a new bloomer into music. You was a late sort of comer into the music world. Do you have a family background of musical?
Well, not really formally. I mean, my father loved Western country music. I mean, and my brother and I, ever since we were old enough to walk, or even before that, I think he would have us listen to all the old country stuff like the Farron Young and Hank Williams, and when we were children, we didn't appreciate it quite as much because we were like everybody else, got into the Beatles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but that music was ingrained in us at a very early age. My mother, on the other side, was a little more formally trained. She did a lot of things in college, singing and choir and glee club and all those kinds of things. So my mother loved, on the other side, really was into more of the jazz and the blues and taught me a lot about that. So yeah, we were a musical household, and I realized that I was blessed with a decent voice very early on, and but my performing was really relegated for the longest time to me in my car singing to my stereo. And then I tried traveling overseas in Asia in the early 80s and came across those karaoke bars and started singing in those. And I was, entering some of those contests and winning those, and people saying, you have a really good voice, you should do something with it. And then learning how to play an instrument and all that kind of sealed the deal for me and allowed me to become a self-contained musician that can actually write some music. So
did you actually believe that they were saying, you've got a good voice, man, you should do this? Or were you like, no, I can't, no, I'm not, because that was like myself when I started with music. They were like, get up there, karaoke and sing. I was like, no, you don't want to hear me sing. Yeah. And then got going, and that's it, never looked back. Is that like you?
Yeah, well? Pretty much. I was never that afraid to get up there. I mean, it can be a little nerve-wracking at first, but I got over that pretty quick. And, and I did a lot of public speaking too in my business career, so that helped me with stage fright. So when it came to singing, even though it's a little bit of a different deal, I really didn't have I really wasn't nervous about performing in front of a lot of people. But I have to be careful. As I've gotten older, my voice has changed. It's gotten lower, so I have to. The things I could really sing 20 years ago, I have to. Some of those I have to retire because they're a little out of my range, So but anyway, yeah, I enjoy that.
So we come on to your next track, which is Cowtown. Not a clue what the titles give away here, but is it a field full of cows?
Well, it's Cowtown, USA, and that's the nickname that's given Fort Worth, Texas, where I live and where I grew up. Fort Worth is known as Cowtown, and the reason being is, and the song talks about the history of Fort Worth. Fort Worth became a city because it was on a river, major tributary. B, it was the right along the Chisholm Trail where they drove cattle through from south, heading up north to Kansas City. And Fort Worth became a major stop off for the cattle drives. And then they built a beef processing plants here. And so that's when things really grew and Fort Worth really exploded in the late 1800s, early 1900s. You can still see the old stockyards area north of me preserved, all the original buildings. Even some of the saloons have been in operation since those early days are still in operation. It's quite a place to see. So Cowtown is kind of the nickname for Fort Worth, and so it's a song about the city I live in and a little bit of a historical documentary, I guess.
Cool. So here it is, Steve Markwardt and Cowtown.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Cowtown, great place. Let's hear the track. This is Cowtown from Steve Markwardt.
You're listening to FRH Radio.
In the big old state of Texas, out where the West begins, there's a place that sits upon a bluff right where the river bends, where modern glass and steel, reaching for the sky, cast shadows on the stockyards and the Wild West days gone by. It started as an outpost at the head of the Chisholm Trail. It grew wide and fast as cattle cars came rolling down the rail. Cowboys came from near and far to live and work and play, and it would grow into what we know as Cowtown, USA. Two rivers came together and married into one, and the water from the Trinity reflects the setting sun, where horses, cows, and foreign cars all share the same freeway. We're proud to live in Fort Worth, Cowtown, USA. One day I found myself in that city to the east. Of all the trips I have to take, it's the one I like the least. I see big hats but no cattle, and I am not impressed. Why, even the Dallas Cowboys up and moved out west, where two rivers come together and marry into one, and the water from the Trinity reflects the setting sun, where horses, cows, and foreign cars all share the same freeway. We're proud to live in Fort Worth, Cowtown, USA. It's where Milton Brown, the Doughboys, and Pop Wills all came to play. Oh, it's the home of a Western swing, Cowtown, USA. Oh, come on, fiddle. Where two rivers come together and marry into one, and the water from the Trinity reflects the setting sun, where horses, cows, and foreign cars all share the same freeway. We're proud to live in Fort Worth, Cowtown, USA. And we're proud to live in Fort Worth, Cowtown, USA.
Brilliant track. Brilliant track. We'll go back to the interview and back to Graham.
So we're back with Steve now, after his song Cowtown there. Now, the good songs, these, Steve. And as you were saying off air before, these are not getting as much radio airplay as they deserve. Why is that happening?
Well, I released the album in mid late October of 2020, and there's 14 songs on the album, and so I guess some of the, as I would call, lower hanging fruit maybe gets more of the attention.
Lower hanging fruit.
The songs like Rearview Mirror seems to get a lot of airplay, and and I'm glad, I love it, but that seems to be one of the favorites. The Western Swing numbers, both they put the Western into Western Swing and Heading Back to Texas. Those two get a lot of airplay. And then I forgot to tell my memory to forget, because it's an unmistakable traditional Western shuffle that gets a lot of airplay. But maybe it's just because the album hadn't been out there that long and people haven't dug that deep into it. And so, a lot of times artists, when they put an album that's very voluminous with a lot of material, sometimes we have to go back and kind of refresh and hit reset, and maybe some of these songs might be worthy of being re-released as singles or something. I'm not sure, but there's so much music out there coming from fellow artists, and it's good stuff. And so 14 songs on one album for me has to kind of compete with all of that too,
Yeah, most definitely. And so how did the album start to come about then? What were the first kind of inspirations you got to, when you were writing the tracks? Did you think, oh, I've got enough for an album here? Where did it all come from?
No, my original intent, believe it or not, being a fairly new guitar player, new musician, and having written songs for about 3.5 years, I felt like what I knew about music, and just in my heart, that I had a few really, really good songs. And so my friend Dave Nachmanoff, again, the guy I was talking about earlier that plays with Al Stewart a lot. Al was a very famous pop singer back in the 70s. He had some really big hit records like Year of the Cat and things like that. Anyway, Dave and I got to be good friends. So I had gone and recorded a couple of songs with Dave about 2 years ago, just to have, mainly just to have a record of, I wanted a really good production of a couple of my songs. And one of those songs we actually wrote together while we were together, and we recorded those. And then as I started going through my book of original songs even deeper, I thought, I want to record some more. I'd like to create at least an entire CD or album and just have it as a document, just a documentation of, this is my music. It's something I could be proud of, and something maybe I could give as a gift to friends and family and things like that. And as we started working on this, and Dave brought his musicianship and his talents as a producer on board, and I started hearing what was coming out of that, I thought, this stuff may have some commercial viability. And in that time, during that time, I was meeting people through my brother who got hooked in with AWA. I was meeting people like Dina Wood and Billy Bowles, DJ that does a lot, pure country, and some other guys. And so I started sending them just some rough mixes of my music just to get their feedback. And they were like, we want to play this on the air. And I thought, maybe we may be onto something. So it kind of came about through the back door. I realized, well, I just need to stick with and just do a pure country album. And so I got busy and wrote about 3 or 4 additional songs to round out the CD. And that's what we did. We released it as pure country.
Yeah, and that's one of your favourite genres. And we'll get back to, I'll ask you another question after this next song, which is one you mentioned not long ago, which is I Forgot to Tell My Memory.
To forget, yeah. I forgot to tell my memory to forget.
It's all right, I've forgotten already. My memory's like a sieve sometimes.
See, it worked, didn't it?
It certainly did, yeah. It was like that. What's that Johnny Cash song? I forgot to remember to forget.
Yeah, that's very similar. That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah.
Oh dear, thanks.
Actually, I don't remember what I was thinking anymore.
Thanks for that, Steve. Love it.
Okay.
Anyway, tell us a bit about this before I go completely insane.
Well, it's about somebody, being in a relationship and then the relationship breaking up, much to the person's dismay. The person I'm talking about, the one singing the song, which would be me. So I'm telling a story and I'm saying, I didn't want that relationship to end in the first place. I'm still hung up on this person, but I think I'm going to be okay. And then, one little thing reminds me of her and I'm right back in the misery again. So, darn, I forgot to forget about her, that kind of thing. So a little play on words. I think a good country song sometimes has a little hook, both lyrical and musical, and that's a little musical or lyrical hook, I guess.
Yes. So here it is. Hope I get it right. So I forget to tell my memory.
I forgot to tell my memory to forget.
There it is, Kate. Play the song.
Thank you very much, Graham. And yes, here is I Forgot to Tell My Memory to Forget from Steve Markwardt.
I woke up just like every other morning, and I got out of bed to face the day. I washed my face and combed my hair, and from out of nowhere started hurting in that old familiar way. As I laid down on the bed we shared together, the pillow from my tears was soaking wet. I thought I was through with this crazy missing you, but I forgot to tell my memory to forget. I threw away the things that remind me, all the pictures and the letters I could find. Now everybody knows where you can find me, on a bar stool trying to drink you off my mind. The headache that I'll wake up with tomorrow is a symbol of a lifetime of regret, and my hurting head recalls the things I should have said, 'cause I forgot to tell my memory to forget. spin, and I'll forget to tell my memory to forget. Yeah, I forgot to tell my memory to forget.
Classic hits all day long. This is FRH Radio.
There you go. Brilliant track there. And the title wasn't that difficult. It wasn't that difficult, Graham. Right, I'm going to hand back to Graham now.
That was pretty fun just before we got into that song there.
You know what?
I forgot to tell my memory, yeah.
You still hadn't gotten it right, but that's okay, Graham.
I know, exactly. And I've got it written down right in front of me as well.
Yeah, maybe that's my problem. I need to make simpler titles so people remember my songs, for heaven's sake.
Rear view mirror, I could just about deal with that one.
Yeah, that's easy. I'm going to start between my name and my song names. I think maybe I've realized what my problem might be.
That's brilliant. Markwardt with a T on there.
No, no. You have to put people through school just to interview me, I think. So.
Oh, dear. I've got a good link for the next one when we get to it. Anyway, talking earlier on about, what's the music? I can't even do it now. What's the music scene like where you are? Yeah, I'm just going to show you.
Oh, the music scene here in Cowtown, Fort Worth.
Don't do it. Don't do it to me, Steve.
Real quick, going off topic, I've got another song on that album called "If You Really Loved Me, You Wouldn't Have Married Me." and then I'm thinking about writing one called "My Wife Ran Off with My Best Friend," and I sure do miss him. So
yeah, you could write one about this interview.
Yeah, I think I could. This is more like a Monty Python skit, I'm afraid.
It's getting there. It's certainly getting there.
Which I love. My parents thought I was crazy when I was a teenager watching Monty Python.
You know that scene where it's how to irritate people.
Yeah. Exactly. I'd like to have an argument, please. Anyway, so
yeah, that's 5 minutes up. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I'm not allowed to argue anymore.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. You're not arguing. You're contradicting.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not a contradiction. You go through all of that sketch.
Oh my gosh. Is this going to be on the air?
Yeah, I think Kay's going to kill us.
I think she will too. Yeah.
Oh, bless her.
Just tell her I haven't had my medication today or something.
I think we'll apologize right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the music scene in Fort Worth, where I live, and Dallas Fort Worth, first of all, is one of the highest growth areas of the United States, and it usually makes the top 2 or 3 on best places to live for local economy and quality of life and all that. So I'm really blessed to be living here. And Fort Worth, and we used to call it the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex because it's really all one big city now. But each city has its own personality, and so Fort Worth's personality is still kind of clings to the heritage and the Old West and the cowboy culture, which is great for country music. And so, as you can imagine, just about every other block there's a live music venue or a honky tonk playing live country music. So, when COVID aside, I mean, there's plenty of opportunities to get out and hear, dance to, and play country music or music period in all genres, but mainly country. And there's venues everywhere from small little coffee houses with a PA and a mic to huge stadiums that seat 100,000 people, which I'm sure I'll never play. But
you never know, one day.
But you got Garth Brooks and guys like that come through. And we right before the pandemic, we got to see George Strait, and that was great. He came through Fort Worth, and he has a song called "Does Fort Worth Ever Cross Your Mind?" as a matter of fact. So yeah, it's very robust from a activity standpoint, and that's why all the more people are just really looking forward to the day when things will start opening up again.
I bet for a musician, it's like as you know, it's difficult to get out there and play right now. So I know it's a bit of a stupid question, but I bet you're missing that scene.
It's a terribly stupid question, Graham.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
No. It's of course, yeah, and yeah,
it's like you've won a trophy, isn't it? It's like you've just won the Gold Cup or a World Cup. How do you feel? Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry.
No. Well, for me, because since the pandemic, I've come out with this album and I've gained quite a bit of notoriety, and even to people that I've known for a long time that say, hey, I didn't realize you could do this. I'm like, well, didn't realize I could either, and I put out this record and this album, and it's getting a lot of attention, and I'm getting a lot of good reviews all over. And so, yeah, I mean, people are asking me, well, let me know when you play, when and where you play. I said, well, nobody's playing right now. And so, yeah, it's kind of like now it's out there, and I can't wait to get out and do this. Really looking forward to it. And I've got I'm grateful that I'm not doing this as my primary vocation as far as making a living, because that would be tough. And I know some fellow artists that do this as a living, and they're hurting pretty bad right now. And hopefully a lot of them are smart guys that saw it coming and put money away for a rainy day.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to make money selling records these days. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, it's a fickle industry, very fickle. So you've got your next song here. What we mentioned, another long title, and even I got it wrong. I don't feel much like missing you today.
That's perfect. Yeah, you got it. You win the beautiful lounge suite. Yes.
Yeah. How do you feel? Yeah. The beautiful lounge suite. I remember that skit as well.
Yeah. That's the one where Karl Marx and Che Guevara. Who won the English Football Cup in 1940?
The workers' means of production. The workers' proletariat.
Yeah. And then Chairman Mao Zedong chimes in and says, because he says, Jerry Lee Lewis had over 100 solid gold hits. What was his biggest hit? And nobody answers. Then Mao Zedong rings in and says, Great Balls of Fire. Yeah. So back to the Kay she doesn't even know me. She's going to kill me.
I'm sure she'll edit it out.
I'm blackballed from her show for life, I'm sure.
That's me banned from interviewing. Anyway,
you can blame it on me. So I forgot to. No, wait, we're past that.
We're past that.
This is I don't feel much like missing you today. This is another song, and this came out of a real life experience. I was in a relationship for 5 years with someone, and when you're in a relationship that long, you look toward the future, and there were plans for us to be together, through thick and thin, and then things kind of deteriorated, and then they broke apart, and she left, and so it's about what I kind of went through, mourning that loss, so to speak, because it is kind of like a death. And then I remember after doing what I needed to do to clean up my side of the street and make sure I didn't make that same mistake in future relationships, I woke up one day and felt differently. I didn't wake up feeling sad, and I thought, I don't feel like being sad today, So that's kind of what that song's about. Is you can go through that period, but the sun will rise again, and there are new opportunities out there. And now, in retrospect, I realize that was just clearing the path for something even bigger and better anyway. So.
Yeah, there it is then. I don't feel much like missing you today.
Yeah, Graham, you see, this title wasn't as difficult either. I don't feel much like missing you today with Steve Markwardt. Take it away, Steve.
Yesterday I passed the time staring at the slowly ticking clock. My brain told me to get out of bed, but my legs, they refused to walk. The day turned to evening, and the darkness in the room commenced to creep. I replayed all our memories, and I closed my eyes. Then I finally went to sleep. Then I woke up this morning with sunshine washing my face. Then I cleared my head and I got out of bed. That feeling has lifted and I think I'll be okay. And I don't feel much like missing you today. I came to around midnight, remembering when I realized you'd gone. You left without warning me. Now all I could do was write this song. The words flowed like water, and the minute I was finally through, I sat still in the silence till there was nothing left in my head for you. Then I woke up this morning with sunshine washing my face. Then I cleared my head and I got out of bed. That feeling has lifted and I think I'll be okay. And I don't feel much like missing you today. They say time is the healer and I've got a lot on my hands. Nothing else to do but forget about you. As the hours go by, you've almost faded away. And I don't feel much like missing you today. No, I don't feel much like missing you today.
And another great track there. And I've got to say, huge fan of Steve Markwardt. Let's go back to Graham and go back to Steve.
I don't feel like much like missing you today. I nearly got it wrong. We was talking earlier. We was talking here about the swing into Western swing. They put the Western into Western swing. Who are they?
Who are they? Those are the voices in my head. No, those are.
Yeah, and I'm picking them up, Steve.
We're talking about the pioneers of Western swing, and I mentioned earlier Fort Worth's where it all started. So that song, when I learned a lot about the history of Western swing from my brother, who started this whole Cowtown Birthplace of Western Swing festival, which he's holding in November 20th, November 13th through the 18th here in Fort Worth. And he's also producing a documentary film. But when I started learning the history of Western swing and knowing how it started right here in Fort Worth, there were two central figures in that, and that's Bob Wills and Milton Brown, who came together and fused their different styles of music and created what we know as Western swing. So they would be those two. And really what Milton Brown brought to the table was more the swing music that was being played, like Louis Armstrong and King Oliver and those guys. And then Bob Wills brought the Western or hillbilly, they say, music into that deal, and they fused it all together along with some mariachi and all kind. It was like a whole stew pot of a mixture of music that came together. And so that was just my kind of way of saying these guys put their own stamp on it and called it Western swing. You know, it may have started out sounding like jazz, but when you mix all those other elements together, it had its own unique flavor.
And that came together to make the song.
Came together to make the song. So it's kind of, if you listen, and I expect you to listen, Graham, because I'm going to give you a quiz afterwards.
Oh dear.
So you'll learn a little bit about the history of Western swing music if you'll listen closely.
Okay, here it is.
Okay.
They put the Western into Western swing.
That's correct.
Thank you, Graham. Yes, and you didn't know who put the Western into Western swing? Well, not really your fault. Not really your fault. I think you got to be a fan of Western swing to know exactly who they are. Let's hear the track. This is They Put the Western into Western Swing with Steve Markwardt.
There's a certain kind of music born in Texas. It's the kind that makes you want to tap your feet when those twin fiddles play in time. That pedal steel begins to whine. It'll have you dancing in your seat in a West Side dance hall down in Fort Worth, Texas. A little place that they call Crystal Springs. From a man named Milton Brown and Bob Wills there came a sound. They put the Western into Western swing.
Oh, take it away, boo. Here comes that twin fiddling Mark Abbott. Now come in, Dave. Get low, my boy, get low. Tell us about it, Steve.
Yeah, there's a certain kind of music down in Texas. When you hear it, you just have to sing along. Tommy Duncan's baritone sings the Rose of San Antone. And everybody knows the words to every song. In a West Side dance hall down in Fort Worth, Texas. A little place that they call Crystal Springs. As the couple twirled around at the big ball in Old Cow Town, they put the Western into Western swing. They put the Western into Western swing.
Yeehaw!
All-Star Country.
Playing the best of country music.
FRH Radio.
Fantastic track. Now I'm enjoying the laugh we're having, so I'm going to hand straight back to Graham.
Now we're back with Steve after that song. He's got one more song to go, but he's got a quiz for me, apparently.
Okay, so who were the two guys that started Western swing music?
You did tell me.
It wasn't Lonnie Donegan.
No, it wasn't, because he was skiffle.
He was skiffle, yeah.
He was skiffle. Swing.
It wasn't Tony Sheridan. No, it was
Tony Sheridan. What a name!
Yeah, he started out playing with the Beatles. You know that.
He did. And the Beat Brothers. Yes.
Yeah, before the Beatles even were the Beatles, they were the Quarrymen or something. Anyway, Bob Wills and Milton Brown.
Yeah, I know you did tell me.
Milton Brown was from Fort Worth. He was a Fort Worth native. Went to the same high school that my 18-year-old daughter's going to today, which is interesting. And then Bob Wills came in from up in Turkey, Texas, and they got together here in Fort Worth because the music scene was so vibrant, and they kind of came together and created that whole genre of music there. And it all started in a little place called Crystal Springs Ballroom, which no longer stands, but you can still go and see the foundation of it in the weeds on the Trinity River. So.
Oh, wow. Well, that's my history lesson. But as I'm here to ask questions, not answer them, Steve.
Okay, I know. I was trying to turn this thing around back on you. I've always wanted to do what you do, so I was trying to step on your toes. So thanks for redirecting me.
Well, off you go. You can, go. Yeah. Anyway, whose show is this? Yeah, so
I think it's Kay's show, and she's going to be appalled. Yeah, no.
Oh, when I send to this. Anyway, back on to you, Steve, and your chance now. Oh, by the way, who is your number one musical artist influence?
Me? That's such an unfair question.
I'm sorry.
I can't even narrow it down to 5 people. But, if you're talking country music, I mean, Hank Williams, to me, is kind of the guy that, well, he didn't start it all. I mean, there was Jimmy Rogers and people like that before him. But
the singing Waitman.
But Hank Williams brought a blues beat into this thing. And I guess why I like Hank Williams so much, let's set his lyrics aside. His lyrics were fantastic. But he created this infectious backbeat to his music, which is the precursor to rock and roll.
Yeah,
you can listen to "Move It On Over" by Hank Williams, and then put on "Rock Around the Clock" by Bill Haley and the Comets, and you're almost listening to the same backbeat. You are listening to the same backbeat. So Hank Williams, and of course his lyrics. There's a guy that sang his life and just put it all out there. And the thing that amazes me about Hank is he was so young. I mean, he was doing this stuff in his early and mid-20s, and he died at age 29. And you hear some of his music, and you listen to the lyrics, and listen to his delivery, and you think, that guy's got to be really old and must have lived a long, painful life. And all that pain was packed up in just a few years. And he, like so many great artists, he shot to the top like a rocket and then exploded pretty much and was gone before we knew it. Kind of like Buddy Holly.
Yeah, it was like Buddy. Yeah. Very sad that was. But
very sad.
Hank Williams, Snowbird. Hank Williams. That was Hank Williams, wasn't it?
Snowbird. I don't know. That may have been Hank Snow or Hank Thompson. I'm not familiar with Snowbird as it pertains to Hank Williams.
Sorry, I'll send you it later.
Well, I know Hank Williams, I mean, all the songs that he did, Your Cheating Heart and I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. And,
oh, yeah.
Like Bob Dylan said, and I'm a big Bob Dylan fan and as well. But Bob Dylan said, I don't know. I never got to meet Hank Williams and listen to him as a boy on the radio at night. We could catch the Louisiana Hayride and those shows that he would appear on. But he said when Hank sang about a whippoorwill and a mockingbird or whatever he said crying, he goes, I knew exactly what it sounded like just by the way he said it, And then Dylan went on to say when he heard that Hank Williams died, he goes, I felt like a mighty oak tree had fallen,
Oh, yeah. Anyway, before we play your last song and to play your last song, where can people find you to go and search your music, Facebook pages, anything like that? Plug them away, Steve.
You can find me on my music is you can go on my website, which is www.markwardt, MarkwardT. I know that's a lot. M-A-R-K.
How do you spell that?
And we're going to have another test, Graham. MARKWARDT music, markwardmusic.com. That's all one word. And my website has quite a bit of information on there. There's some articles in there that have been written about me and an online interview. I believe it's on there. There's some videos on there that take you through each one of the songs on my album, Home Again, which is the only album I've got out. It's my debut album. Yeah. It's got kind of behind the lyrics, little clip on each song. So that's probably what you should have watched, and then you could have passed the test, Graham.
Absolutely.
But it's okay. What I'll tell you to do is your homework is to go watch that, and then we'll reconvene in a few months or something.
But it's always good to do your research for stuff like this, isn't it?
Yeah. So markwardmusic.com, you can actually order my CD. I'll figure out how to get it to you over in the UK if you're there. I know you got listeners all over the world. So, yeah. But my music is also available on most streaming sites like Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon Music. All because it's through TuneCore, so all those major streaming sites you can grab my music, and then you can see some things about me on YouTube as well. There's a few live performances of me working out some of these songs very early on, and some of them have changed from the time I played in those live performances at coffee houses over a year ago to the finished product as we did it in the studio. But it's interesting to compare, and so there's some a little bit of material there. In fact, that song about the not the one about Iris and the virus, but the other one, the more serious one about silver lining and the pandemic I recorded, it's also on my YouTube page. So,
did you record the Iris one?
No.
Oh,
well, only at home, real elementary, and I'll send you a little WAV file of it.
Oh,
thanks. It's not something that I would probably want to have broadcast. It might be, it's not the most politically correct thing you've ever heard.
Don't worry, I won't share it anyway.
Yeah.
So your last song is Rita Margarita.
Yeah, and that's just a fun song. I was one day, and that was one of the first songs I'd written. That song was just something I was banging around on the guitar with a rhythm and a kind of a chord progression, and I thought, and the chorus kind of worked itself out, and I thought, Rita, and I thought, what rhymes with Rita? Margarita, So anyway, I came up with this, and it's a fictional story, but I think as guys, we probably, and gals can say this too, that we've all encountered from time to time. It's just about a dangerous woman, a very strikingly beautiful woman that, kind of like a Delilah type of woman, Okay. And so my advice is to, even though she's beautiful and boys line up to meet her, and she's prettiest girl from Santiago to Sausalito and all that, but watch out, boys, she's mean as a snake, so that's a fun song, and the beat's good, and I think a lot of people may find it fun to dance to this song.
All right. Cheers, Steve. Here's Rita Margarita. Just want to say it's been a pleasure to interview you.
Graham, thank you. I've enjoyed it. And it's always good to have a laugh as well.
Oh, yes.
Like I said, in this pandemic, we can't take things too seriously. We have to stop and have comic relief. And I think we've had more than our fill of it today, or more than our share of it today. But I've really enjoyed it. And thank you guys so much for playing my music. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
No worries, Steve. Talk to you soon, yeah?
Thank you, sir. All right.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much, Graham. And thank you, Steve. Thank you for agreeing to come on to FRH Radio and speak to our listeners. I have thoroughly enjoyed this interview and I have laughed a lot. Although I've still got to say, I never did quite get the whole Monty Python thing. But then maybe that's just because I'm female. Maybe that's just because I'm female. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for tuning in and listening. It's been a great interview today. Great interview. Taking us out now, we have Steve Markwardt and Rita Margarita. We'll see you again next week. Take care.
I'm gonna tell you a story about a girl I knew. Long lean legs and big old eyes of blue. Drink 'cause she's as mean as a snake. Rita, Margarita. Boys line up for blocks for a chance to meet her. Bonita, senorita. She cast a spell and send you straight to hell. Rita, Margarita. With piercing eyes that look into your soul, she'll make you take back stuff that you never stole. Things you swore that you'd never do, you do just to prove that your love is true. You say you had enough, you'll go back for more, and she'll use your heart just to dust her floor. Rita, Margarita. Boys line up for blocks for a chance to meet her. Bonita, senorita. She'll cast a spell, send you straight to hell. Rita, Margarita. Well, she's the kind of girl your mama warned you about. She'll give a confident man a bad case of self-doubt. One night you're with her, painting the town, and in the morning your world is turned upside down. I've been through hurricanes, tornadoes, and earthquakes too, but nothing prepared me for the things she'd do. With all the hearts she broke, were lined up in two ends, they stretched from here to China and back again. Now the story I'm telling you is true. That's why I'm leaving town, and you should too. Rita, Margarita. Prettiest girl from Santiago to Sausalita. Bonita, senorita. She'll cast a spell and send you straight to hell. Rita, Margarita. Rita, Margarita. Rita, Margarita.
The best place to hear country hits. This is FRH Radio.
FRH Radio.
The station that puts both independent artists and mainstream artists under the same spotlight.
Playing you only the best in country music. You are listening to FRH Radio.